Anne Frank is 6 years old and Hitler is gaining power in Germany. Persia is officially renamed Iran. The Philippines frames a constitution and elects its first president. America struggles to emerge from the Great Depression. Slavery has been outlawed for a generation, but Jim Crow still rules the South.
In November of that year, a meeting was held in Lynchburg, Virginia. It was an informal conversation between a rabbi, a priest, and a Protestant minister, promoted to improve interfaith understanding. Amazingly, more than 1,000 people attended, no doubt curious about our differences, but perhaps interested in our similarities. That meeting started a movement that brings us together to celebrate 50 years of Humanitarian Awards and the work of Virginia's Center for Inclusive Communities.
Throughout our history, hatred has never relented. Racial slurs, sexism, homophobia.
There may be some here today that will be homosexual in the future. There are a lot of kids here. They can be judges, lawyers. We ought to know we've arrested all of them.
Oppression, invisibility, dehumanization. We know well its devastation.
When I came to Virginia, I had 4 things against me. I was Black, I was a woman, I was in the Catholic Church, and I was a sister.
There were certainly clubs or organizations, hotels at the time that I could not go to and my family couldn't go to.
And the guy 2 houses down from my parents was throwing firecrackers at their car while they were driving around the neighborhood. And I just remember how bad I felt, because I felt like he's representing me. You know, I mean, I don't know, I was 8 years old or something, but he's representing me.
I mean, we had things like crosses burned in our yard and that kind of thing. Well, it happened in the middle of the night, and the fire trucks came and put it out. You know, I was at an age where it didn't traumatize me because, again, the way they handled it, they treated it lightly. I mean, we posed with the cross with pictures the next day. And in fact, my father had that kind of approach to all of his threatening letters. He kept a file of what he thought were the most creative, threatening letters that he got. And so he brought that sense of humor to the situation, and that really diffused a lot of the tension that might have been there otherwise.
It's 1963. Civil rights marches end in riots, and Klansmen crawl in the night. President Kennedy is assassinated. Commenting on massive resistance, Attorney General Robert Kennedy says, "The only places on earth known not to provide free public education are Communist China, North Vietnam, Sarawak, Singapore, British Honduras, and Prince Edward County, Virginia. Something must be done about Prince Edward County."
His father was really distressed by the aftermath of Brown. Massive resistance completely blindsided the lawyers.
Then all of a sudden, Virginia had a governor that said he would close the schools before he'd integrate them.
And I think our country has, suffered as a result of that. I think we would have been in a different country now had we solved that problem of school integration 40 years ago.
Was that fueled the white flight?
We had purchased several chains of theaters, and some of them had separate seating facilities. And when the Prince Edward court case was going on, we simply decided that we weren't going to wait for the government to do anything, and it was best that we break the Virginia law.
If you used ethics to guide your decision-making process, then the question is, what's the right thing to do?
Well, I think that was sort of the philosophy of the way my father wasn't a religion, but the way he was brought up and the way we were brought up, it was the right thing to do. And sometimes, even though the right thing might break a law, it's still the right thing.
In the face of all manner of injustices emerged the bravest of us. Those who did not shy away from the opportunity to stand up for all of us. Thurgood Marshall, Harvey Milk, Gloria Steinem, Cesar Chavez, Darcy McNichol, Martin Luther King Jr.
And Virginians, Barbara Johns, Oliver Hill, Calvin Green, Robert Marriage, Raji Sen, and so many others whose names are less known but whose noble actions shame evil.
They showed us what it means to leave the comfort of the crowd and to demand change, to put their safety, their reputations, and even their lives on the line, to speak for those who could not.
It's 2012. Progress comes in excruciating increments to those who wait for it. Justice mandated is not justice guaranteed, and changing a law does not change a mind.
Young people getting ideas and being encouraged and empowered can help to change.
They've got a job to make it keep going upwards and not slow the progress, and that there's still a lot of work to be done.
We really do want the same things for ourselves and each other, and we can find a way to make common cause. We can, we just have to really want to.
And it's something that we have to be deliberate in addressing. And deliberate is a very key word in this area. You can't be, I'll get to that. It can't be number 5 on the list. It has to be part of how you approach things from an overall basis.
What was interesting about my father's work was he continued to evolve as well. So he started out dealing with legal segregation, but very soon after those battles were initially won, he started moving into other ways in which people are divided.
You have a role in being able to try to change that. For whatever period of time you have influence, you have a role and you need to change that.
He was really a pioneer of inclusive communities. I mean, he came up with this term, human earthlings, and by that he meant that we were all in this together.
He drew a circle that shut me out. Heretic, rebel, a thing to flout. But love and I had the wit to win. We drew a circle and took him in.